and welcome back. In today's video, I want to talk about making custom drum heads. Now, this is something I have a bit of experience with, but usually just with applying vinyl decals to a pre-existing drum head. This works well and has served me for a lot of applications, whether it be restoring a vintage kit where I want to have the brand name's logo on the front, or even for some of the bands I play in where I've wanted to have our logo on the front of the bass drum head. I usually recruit one of my friends who has a Cricut to make me one of these decals, or in some specific cases, I've also ordered them from sites online like Etsy or other drum building sites. This tends to work pretty well, but you're definitely limited in terms of what you can do because a lot of them are only printing in one single color. So if I have a black head, I can just get white text or a white logo, or vice versa. I've also found that the decals don't always work with every style of head. They work really well on like a smooth black head that doesn't have any texture coating, and they work all right on the fiber skin or calf tone style heads, but sometimes don't get great grab because the texture on those heads is a little bit unique and wavy. Now, I was talking to my friends at Evans, and they let me know about their custom drum head service they offer on their site, which is really amazing. They do this in 3 categories. They do resonant bass drum heads, which would be for most drum set applications. They do this with marching bass drum heads, and then they have what they call souvenir drum heads, which are smaller, like 10, 12, 14-inch sizes that you could maybe print up for an event and have like friends or a group sign. So I want to take a look at what they offer and order a couple for myself. So we're here on Daddario's site, and if you go to custom products, you can see they offer guitar picks and drum heads. So when you go to drum heads, you can see these 3 categories. From what I understand, the marching bass drum heads are one of their specific marching heads, the MX1 or MS1 white. They don't offer it in black, which I thought was a little unique. This is actually funny because 2 of the schools where I teach drumline and help with the percussionist, they recently ordered these custom heads from Evans, and I helped them install them, and I was really blown away with the quality. One thing I really liked about it was they print the logo on one ply of the head, and then there's another layer on top of that, like a clear film, and that protects the logo from being damaged as it's beat with those felt beaters. Because when I heard they were getting these, I just thought they wouldn't last with people hitting on them, but I think that should make them last for a long time, and they still look great today, 6 months to 1 year later. So let's just go back to what I think most people will want to do, which is drum set bass drum heads. So here they offer 16 through 26 inches, and they offer it in their EQ3 white, clear, or EQ4 calf tone. Now they've offered to send me a couple heads to share with you all and kind of walk you through the process. And for the drum set head, I want to put together a logo head for my community's jazz festival, which is coming up here in just about a month. I reached out to the coordinators there and they sent me some of the graphics, so we're going to put together a custom head for the backline kit and I'll install it before the festival. So the backline kit has a 20-inch bass drum, and we're going to use the calf tone because I think it's pretty jazzy and will match the vibe of the house kit. And then if we go here, the next step is a template. So here you can choose where you want a porthole, where you want the Evans logo to appear on the head. That's super helpful because in my experience of putting together custom bass drum heads, I've noticed that sometimes the logo for the drum head gets in the way of the graphic you're trying to install. So that's nice that you're able to work around it here. Usually the logo for Evans heads are at the bottom, but I think we're going to do it at the top. Okay. The next step would be adding text. So if you don't have a specific graphic to upload with text in it, you could add text yourself here. Let's just see what that looks like. Cool. So then it just creates this little widget which you can resize or move around in place. They have some different fonts here, some interesting ones. We're not going to need this actually though. So they also have arc text, which I think would just, match the contour of the bass drum. It's a pretty heavy arc. I wonder if we can adjust that at all. Okay, so you can switch the orientation of the arc at least. This really isn't for me. Okay, as we go to the final step here, graphics. That's what I want to do. So I'm going to go ahead and add a graphic here. I'm going to upload it from my computer. And I've got like a Photoshop file from my friends at the Jazz Fest. So it's pretty small right now, but this should be a very high quality file for printing on a drum head. So I'm just going to resize it to at least take up most of the room that I have available here. Sweet. And then we have some tools up here to help with resizing. This right here, I believe, centers it horizontally across the head, which I think would be really important for people out there. I always get freaked out about placing stuff like that on a circle where you don't have corners to measure it from. And then this button here centers it vertically. But with this graphic that I have here, I think I want it a little bit higher. So I'm going to use this tool to just move it up. All right, I think that looks nice. So when you're done with your designing, you can check these boxes and then move on to the next page, which would do the quantity and just confirm what size head you're getting. So I'm going to have one of these and add it to the cart. Let's go back to the front page here. And I also want to do one of these Souvenir drum heads. So, like I said, these are fun for like if you went to PASIC and wanted to have a custom head for all the famous people you met to sign. They only offer it in a white tom head, but I think here I'm going to cover more of the surface, so you're really not going to see the style of head. They have some templates here. You can do a white logo or a black logo, but it's at the bottom. I don't really know which one I want. Let's do one white since the last one was black. All right, we have text. I think I'm going to skip the text on this one. Arc text again. And then we have backgrounds. So this is kind of cool. You've got all these different looks that cover the full surface of the head, so it could be kind of like deceptive. Like this is pretty sweet. This is definitely my style. Or if you want your drum head to look like a pizza, you could do that. I'm not sure that you'd actually want to play on these drum heads after the fact because they're so interesting visually. I'd hate to damage them by playing and adding stick marks and stuff, but I'm sure you could, and maybe we'll test that out when this head shows up. All right, here's like a textile fabric. They have wood. I think I like this Color Waves one. This is super cool. All right, let's go with that. And then I want to do another graphic here. Let's do this little rendering I made of one of my dogs, Blakey. I dig it. All right. Confirm our design and then accept the policy that once you've done this, you cannot change it or return it. And let's go to size and quantity. So you could do 10-inch, 12-inch, or 14-inch. Most of the spare drums I have are snares, so maybe we should just do a 14. Okay, so there seems to be a promo going on right now to save 20%. I don't know if that will still be in place by the time this video comes out. But the regular price for the bass drum head is $88. I don't think that's a terrible deal for a custom bass drum head. If I had to put something together for like a vintage kit that I was going to sell, I probably wouldn't invest in this just to get like a vintage Ludwig logo. But if I was putting together a head for like one of my bands that was going to play every weekend, that's less than $100 for a custom made product at a very high quality from a very reputable brand. The Souvenir drum head is only $27, which isn't that much. If I was just like throwing a fun event and wanted to have this as like decoration on a drum, I would totally throw down $28 on this. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get these heads ordered and we will regroup when they show up. look what finally showed up. It's been a little over 3 weeks since I placed the order, so if you're hoping to order this and get it expedited in like a week or two, I don't think you should rely on that. I think you should just plan ahead and make sure you have plenty of time. But without any further ado, let's go ahead and take a look inside. That is pretty incredible. That turned out so good. Now, I didn't go for like a super high-res natural image. I went for more of like a digital animated style, and I think that worked really well here. One thing I noticed is that the printing of the drum head, not only does it go fully to the edge, it goes past that bend or the collar where it would go over the rim. So this is like real full edge-to-edge printing. I imagine they must actually print it on the material flat and then crimp the drum head and put it on this aluminum hoop. In any case, it looks amazing. I'm super happy with this. As far as sound, it has a nice natural pitch to it like normal drum heads do. It's obviously very low and wavy. This is just a single ply drum head, but I'm sure I could play it. I don't want to play it because I'd love to put this on a shelf and highlight my dog Blakey, but this is impressive. And this one was like $30-ish. I would definitely do this again. This is better than I could have imagined. I've done plenty of custom drum heads. Usually I like to do it on a black, smooth surface, but as someone who plays a lot of jazz and owns a lot of vintage drums, I really do like this calf tone fiber skin style head. And to be able to get this printing directly on it, it turned out amazing. I love the flexibility of being able to put the Evans logo wherever it's convenient for your graphic. Because for us, if I would have put it at the bottom, I think it would have been a little distracting with the Oshkosh Jazz Festival text. This is so much better than a decal, and I don't think a decal would have stuck with all these really thin, long lines and all these like really thin outline pieces. I just don't think it would have worked, and so printing a drum head was our best option. I didn't mention it when I was ordering the custom drum heads, but considering how cheap they were, and then when you factor in the price of just buying a new head, like this bass drum head is probably between $50 to $55. And at the time of the sale, this was like well under $100. I think that's totally worth it for a custom head. Now, the last step here is to get my buddy Mike over, who's involved with the Jazz Fest. He uses his own drum set for the backline kit for the festival. So I sent him a text that this had arrived and that he should bring his bass drum over and we should install it. But I think it'll be fun to see his reaction. And once again, thank you to the folks at Daddario who invited me to check these out. I'm much more of a DIY guy when it comes to drums, but I think I might be switching to something like this down the road because this was so easy to do with their website. Let me know in the comments what you think and if you're going to order one for yourself. All right, thanks.